This program is made possible by the support of Delta Dental, Quick Trip, Marshfield Clinic Health System, Wisconsin Counties Association, Wisconsin Hospital Association. Watch WisconsinEye on Spectrum Channels 995 and 363 and at wiseye.org.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is John Erpenbach, State Senator from the 27th Senate District and a member of the Joint Committee on Finance. Today is an extremely important day and perhaps historic for all the wrong reasons here in Wisconsin. The idea that the Republicans may be saying no to a final chance perhaps at Medicaid expansion in this state is absolutely ridiculous. I want you to think about this for a sec. We're still going to have Medicaid programs here in Wisconsin, but it's going to be paid for with general purpose revenue. Keep in mind, Wisconsin taxpayers also pay federal taxes. So we're paying twice for something we're getting once. There's a tremendous amount of federal money that Governor Evers has leveraged with the Medicaid expansion, up to $1.6 billion in federal funding coming back to Wisconsin. If the Republicans say no to that, we're still paying our federal taxes, but we're going to be using our state taxes to pay for some Medicaid programs. That's probably one of the more irresponsible things I've seen here at the Capitol in a long time. They sit up there at the dais, and what they say is they're trying to be good stewards for the taxpayers, and they're keeping an eye on the taxpayers' bottom line and their wallets. We're leaving hundreds of millions of dollars of Wisconsinites' dollars out in Washington, D.C. for whatever political reason they're choosing today not to take it. At the end of the day, this budget was built on the Medicaid expansion. This budget leveraged, because of Medicaid expansion, $1.6 billion to help people in need throughout Wisconsin. It's fiscally irresponsible to say no and tax Wisconsinites twice for the same thing. So with that, I'll turn it over to Chris Taylor.
Hello, everybody. In my 8 years here, I have seen a lot of really bad fiscal decisions. And we know the very irresponsible, harmful fiscal decisions of the Republican legislators have really hurt our state. Right now, we are 39th in the nation for job creation. We're in the bottom third for income growth. There was just a new report showing educated workers are leaving the state of Wisconsin. We have actually the 8th highest net loss of a highly educated workforce. Wisconsin's not attracting families with children, and my Republican colleagues have refused to make the public investments that they're continuing to refuse to make in this budget in our public education system, and it looks like maybe even in fixing our roads. But one of the worst, and probably the worst, fiscal decision that I have seen is this irresponsible decision not to expand Medicaid that 70% of the people in this state want. They are turning their backs on $1.6 billion in additional federal monies used to make needed health care investments, used to address the opioid crisis, used to expand mental health access, which all of our communities desperately need. That we can use to make sure people have access to affordable dental care, another huge shortage in our state, and enhancing women and infant health. We're actually seeing an increase in maternal mortality. That is shameful, absolutely shameful. And on top of all that, we can save money, $324.5 million in state savings. That, as Senator Erpenbach said, we could adequately fund special education. We could actually invest in the UW system, and we could fix our crumbling roads. States that expanded Medicaid realized budget savings, they saw revenue gains, and they had an increase in overall economic growth, including more job growth. People in rural communities have experienced some of the biggest gains under Medicaid expansion. The governor is committed to a budget for the people. That is his top priority. That is our top priority. We will not stop fighting for Medicaid expansion for the people of this state. But it looks like my Republican colleagues rather spend more money and cover less people. It's a cruel choice for these people we could cover who don't have health care coverage, and it's a fiscally irresponsible choice.
Good afternoon. My name is Evan Goyke. I represent the city of Milwaukee on the Joint Committee on Finance. A little over 200 days ago, Governor Evers was elected. And in the 2018 statewide campaign, statewide campaigns have a lot of issues. We talked about education and transportation, but the most salient top issue in this past election was health care. And I have publicly admitted to being a political nerd, and I'll out myself again today. I rewatched last night a debate between then candidate Evers and then Governor Walker, and you could not have had two more different plans and visions for health care. Governor Evers spoke openly about accepting the Medicaid expansion dollars and how he would reinvest those dollars. Governor Walker scrambled to try to have some kind of health care policy agenda. And what happened? Tony Evers won. The people of the state of Wisconsin knew what they were buying. They want the Medicaid expansion. Representative Taylor just called it one of the worst fiscal decisions. Well, it was also one of the worst political decisions. Republicans in Wisconsin are losing their effort to try to cover up this decision. I heard from Speaker Voss and Senator Fitzgerald, but to the members of the media here today, I encourage you to ask all of the Republicans in the legislature, those that are elected independent of Speaker Voss, where they stand and why. I've talked to friends in Republican districts around the state, and they continue to receive emails and phone calls and letters from their elected representatives saying that they're on the fence, that legislative representatives haven't made up their mind yet. A few weeks ago, I was on a panel discussion with Senator Howard Markline, who said he has an open mind on Medicaid expansion. Well, I ask you to dig a little deeper and get the answers from all of the elected Republicans. You see a whole bunch of Democrats standing behind me right now. We're with Governor Evers. We're with Medicaid expansion. This is an incredibly popular issue. I mentioned Tony Evers won the election. So we have a recent poll on this data. The majority of Wisconsinites voted for the candidate that supports this. We know that in the Marquette University Law School poll, 70% support Medicaid expansion. And one of the reasons why it's popular is because it would bring investment in every corner of the state of Wisconsin. I'm going to turn the podium over to my friend and my state senator, LaTanya Johnson, to explain some of that reinvestment.
Good evening. By expanding Medicaid, we will be able to leverage those savings, the $1.6 billion, into investments in health care. Some of these examples would be $44.6 million, expanding access to behavioral health, including the hub and spoke model for addiction and treatment. $52 million, preventing childhood lead exposure and poisoning. $48 million, improving access to dental access. $63.9 million, enhancing Medicaid benefits and services, including the new community health benefit. $69 million, increasing Medicaid reimbursement rates for physicians. Another $367 million, increasing hospital funding. $154 million, increasing funding for long-term care programs and services, including nursing homes and personal care. $5.7 million, increasing access to dementia care specialists and expanding that coverage around the state. We do not have to sacrifice our children's quality of education or our roads to fund vital projects. These programs that I just talked about are extremely significant. They're significant to everyday lives for Wisconsinites all across the state. And they're vital programs that are needed to enhance the quality of life for the people who live here in this state and call it home. Making sure that we invest those new dollars where they are most needed and invest that federal funding to invest in the health and well-being of all Wisconsinites is extremely important to this state. We don't have to double tax our residents. Our residents don't have to do without. All we have to do is to make that very sensible choice and expand Medicaid. These are dollars that we have already paid for, and these are dollars that should come back to the state for new investments in those vital programs where it's most needed. Now we'll open it up to any questions if there are any.
You guys have made this pitch for several weeks since they took out the budget. What's going to change from when they took it out the first time?
I have to believe that if this ever got to the floor, whether it be the Assembly or the Senate, and it was a standalone free vote, and leadership had released their members to vote the way they wished, this would pass overwhelmingly. The idea that leadership on the Republican side is saying no to $1.6 billion of Wisconsinites' money, we are going to be asking every single day to try and find a way to increase Medicaid expansion here in this state. It's absolutely financially irresponsible not to do it. The other side knows it too. So we appeal not only to leadership, but more importantly to the individual members on the Republican side to talk to their leadership, to keep, an open mind to taking the Medicaid expansion.
Will you guys push the governor to veto this budget? Doesn't include expansion.
In the end, you have to see what the final product is going to look like when it gets to the governor's desk. To ask for a full veto right now, I think, would be kind of irresponsible, because in the end, we don't know what it's going to look like. We're still holding out hope that the Republicans take Governor Evers up on his offer to sit down and negotiate their differences, which they haven't to date, as far as I know. So I think the door is still open to negotiations, and we'll see what the final product looks like.
You know, the people of Wisconsin have asked us to keep fighting for Medicaid expansion. I am getting, and likewise, we all are getting, dozens and dozens and dozens of email from people all over this state. In fact, many of them are in Republican districts urging us to continue to fight, and we promised we would, and we are going to keep our promise.
And it's unfair for us to continue to tell the people of this state that the programs that they depend on, we can't afford to fund them, when we have shown over and over again that the money is there. All we have to do is expand Medicaid. We want to make sure that every individual that calls the state home has an opportunity to feel like they're a part, to make sure that their kids are attending quality schools, to make sure that their kids are getting adequate health care, and we have the funding to make this happen. We are making the choice to not adequately fund these programs, and that's not fair.
Anything else? All right, thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming out.